Well, here we are. My name is Josh Eisworth from Ridgeline Roofing, and I'm here with my good friend Joel from Gott Energy. Mm-hmm. And we're doing a pretty big collaboration between our two companies here, getting into roofing and solar and, you know, bringing our trades together, because through these last couple of years, through our collaborations, we've really seen an opportunity for big wins for both of our businesses and our customers. So I think it's funny how hindsight is just so much better. We always say hindsight is 20/20. I don't think it's actually that good, but it's definitely it's better than what you have in the moment usually. Yeah. But with roofing and solar, it's one of those things that it's like when we connected and started talking about possible collaborations, it was like, how did we not think about this earlier? Yeah. Like there's just so much synergy and wanting to see each other succeed just in general. It's like, why wouldn't we do something? And then of course, looking at the future, I think that's the future. Roofing and solar. And both, like, not only do the two trades like overlap big time, but we're also very like-minded companies where we're share very similar visions and goals. We're trying to accomplish very similar things for our customers. We want to see wins for each other. We want to see wins for our industries. Yeah. So, there's a huge amount of opportunity coming up here, and really excited for it. Yeah, and we're in the early stages. Like there's lots still that I'm learning about roofing, and there's lots that Josh is still learning about solar, and so that's part of this conversation is just diving into how does it even all work, and what are the wins, because there's lots. Well, especially this time in the market, because there's opportunities coming up in solar for the consumers that they can get into solar and get fantastic value. And so I think we'll go over some of those key points here, and so let's get it going. So the main thing I would say that's bringing amazing value to the consumer is the rebates and loans that the government's offering, that BC Hydro is putting out there. So why don't we go over that a little bit? Yeah, it's one of the key reasons that a lot of people are looking at solar right now is the fact that there's these programs out there, and you get all these people that will see a program advertised, or they hear about their neighbor getting some rebate or whatever, and they go, really? You can do that? Solar in northern BC? Like, is that a thing? And because it's still, in a lot of ways, it's new. Solar's been going in Arizona for forever. And so people have this mentality that it's an Arizona thing. Yeah. When really it works great up here in the north. Like I'm fully off grid at my place, and I'm running off solar power and loving it. It's working really well. I did not know that. You didn't know that? I didn't know that. Okay, that's super cool. No, I'm totally off grid, and we can talk about that later. But it's really viable in northern Canada, and so, anyways, these rebate programs, incentives, they're what's the trigger for a lot of people to go, maybe I should look at that, because free money always catches people's attention. Yeah. So the programs that are running right now there's BC Hydro rebates, and then, so this is for residential solar installations. There's different stuff available for commercial, which are also really awesome, maybe even more awesome. But on the residential side, BC Hydro's got a $5,000 rebate for solar panels, and then a $5,000 additional rebate if you do batteries, which a lot of people don't know that you don't have to do batteries in most cases. Yeah. Which, again, big piece we'll get into later, but those are the two major rebates. So if you're just putting up solar panels on your house, you can get $5,000 back, which then people go, well, is that like, am I saving 10% or what is that? For a basic installation here in Prince George, that's large enough to qualify for that full rebate, you're looking at somewhere between $13,000 and $14,000 before the rebate, and then you get $5,000 back. And then you get $5,000 back, so you're looking at $8,000 or $9,000 out of pocket to get that. So it's pretty awesome. Like it's pretty good value, percentage wise, serious savings. What would you say? Okay, so that's the minimum bar to get in. What would you say the average solar system is on a house? Okay, so that ties into the other program that's available, because in the past that there was before this rebate, there was another $5,000 grant program, basically the same thing, and so a lot of people went for a $5,000 system, and that was our average was just over five, or a 5,000 watt system, because that's what you need to get the $5,000 rebate. But now the government has federally started this interest-free loan program where you can get up to a $40,000 interest-free loan for energy retrofits, and solar is an energy retrofit. So you can get a solar system for your house and pay interest-free over 10 years, which is crazy.
It's like unheard of.
That's awesome.
It's basically free money.
And so now we got a lot of people going, well, how much can I get for $40,000? And so our average system size, I would say this year, dollar-wise, average system size is probably somewhere around a $25,000 system before the rebate. So 25 down to 20.
So you're still, on the average system, people are getting 20% back in that $5,000 rebate.
Yep.
And then they're getting interest-free loan on the rest.
Yep. And the payback on that is, people often ask us questions about the payback piece, and it's really complicated because there's a lot of things to factor in. Like, for example, if you're doing the interest-free loan thing, you're committing to a monthly payment to pay your system off, but by year 10, you're making the same monthly payments as you are this year, but the cost to you because of inflation actually is way less in year 10 than it is today. So to work those savings into your ROI calculation, it's a complicated calculation, but it's like all these things stack together, and honestly, it's really good. People look at the numbers and they just put a couple of the pieces together and they go, wow, I never expected that in Northern BC I could purchase something like this so affordably and get such a good payback.
And that's really depending on their individual home, how it's situated, like the roof lines and how it's situated with the sunlight and everything like that. But, okay, so out of 10 homes that you look at, how many of them are viable for solar in the north, would you say?
That's a great question. I've never tried to put that number together before, but I would say of the ones that we look at, because a lot of people will self-eliminate.
Yeah.
Like they'll look at their own house and go, I got too many trees, or I'm behind a big hill or something. So
I'm on North Nechako and I don't see daylight till 10 a.m.
Yeah, so they don't even contact us, which, you know what, is too bad, because there are people that will rule themselves out that actually get better solar production than they think. But I would say of the homes that we look at, that customers come to us and we go do an assessment, I would say 9 out of 10 are
qualify
or viable.
Or viable, yeah.
In our eyes. And we do talk people out of doing solar. And I think that's actually an important piece of who we are, because talking about similar values, we are not just looking to make as much money as possible. We want to serve our community.
Yeah.
And so there's people who come to us and they're like, yeah, solar, this looks really awesome. My neighbor did it and whatever, and we'll do an assessment. And you know what? If you're not going to get almost any production, we're going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Because, man, the worst thing is to sell something to a customer and have them come back 2 years later and go, man, you ripped me off and I didn't get whatever. It's like, we're not into that.
Well, that's one of the main things, if not the main thing, that drew us to working with you guys, is you guys are very value first to your customers, which we're the exact same thing. Why we offer options depending on their life circumstances, on what type of shingle and longevity and all that. You guys are the same way.
Yeah.
And if there's a solar system that you guys and some people are like all in, they want this really bad because they really feel like it's going to make an impact either to their home or to whatever they believe it'll be for. You guys will be like, as much as you want this, like, it just doesn't make sense for you and your circumstance.
And in the end, they're the decision maker. So we'll lay out all the data, and you know what? Like, we had a customer come to us and we did a site assessment and we said, hey, here's your production numbers.
Yeah.
And we left the decision in her hands. And you know what? In the end, she still went ahead. And her ROI is not good. She's not going to get great payback. We told her that in advance. We said, like, in comparison to a lot of people, this is what you're going to produce. And it's comparatively a lot lower than the average. And just made sure all of that was really clear. And she decided, you know what? I still believe in it. I want to contribute to the community. I want to help knock power demand down in my community. And she went ahead with it, and she's thrilled.
Yeah, so it was not just a financial thing to her. It was just more about her core values. And it was important for that customer to see an impact that she can make a decision for more the community and other values aside from just fiscal benefit.
Yeah, and so we always leave the decision in the hands of our customers, but we try to make sure they've got the best information possible. And so one of the tools that we really love is, and this is a piece that I think is really significant in the whole story of solar, the whole industry, is production estimates, production analysis, shade analysis, all those kinds of things. Because when you're looking at one site versus another, how good is this home, this roof face, this location versus others? And in the past, that was a really tricky thing for a lot of solar companies to say with any kind of confidence. But today, technology has shifted so significantly. And one of the tools that we use that we really love is drone software. So when we're assessing a site, throw a drone up in the air. We do a couple laps of the property. We pick a central focal point on the house, or if it's, we don't always do solar on a building, if it's in a field or whatever. We pick our point of interest, and we do a couple laps with the drone. We take a few hundred photos that all get stitched together into a 3D model. And then we can drop our solar panels right into that model. And so we can say, if we put a solar panel on this part of the roof facing this direction, with the shade from the chimney and the trees in the yard and the building next door, whatever, all that stuff factored in, it spits out like really concrete numbers to say, in January, you'll be able to produce this much power. In June, you'll be able to produce this much power. We can pick any day of the year, any time of day, and it'll tell us based on where that location is geographically in the world, plus all of the shade specifically at that site. What are you going to get?
And there's a lot. So the main component to that is the home, its roof line, how much sunlight it gets, shade, direction of the sun, all that. But they must do it off historical averages of daylight and hundreds of years of collecting weather data, I'm assuming.
Not hundreds, but as far back as the data goes. And so that, like for Prince George, we've got averages, like per year, how much solar power can you produce in Prince George in a year? We've got that average data. We've got that for McBride. We've got that for Nanaimo. We've got that for all these different locations. And so it pulls that data in. It says, okay, in this location, on average, this is what you're going to get in the month of December. This is what you're going to get in the month of March, etc. Puts it all together, but then it factors in, because of the modeling, the trees, the pitch of the roof, the direction the roof is facing, all of those pieces to make it really tailored. So when a customer comes to us, often we'll sit down with the customer and we'll pull up the 3D model and we'll actually move panels around with them. And they'll say, well, could we shift them left a little bit? Absolutely. We slide them over and the production numbers are adjusted. And then the customer says, oh, awesome. Or actually, let's shift them back to the right because it was a little bit more productive going that direction or whatever.
So in the estimation and design process, you guys can really customize the systems.
Yeah.
It's not just black and white. You've got options. You can have more panels, less panels, different areas of the roof.
Yeah, we can put them this way or we can turn them this way. There's all kinds of different options for layout and placement and
Awesome. Well, so if someone gets that done, say bring you guys out. They get a number that they like. They feel like the ROI is there, the value's there in terms of what their values are, whether it's fiscally or what have you, and they actually hire you guys to do the system. What does that process look like? Like, how long does it take to get all the components in place to do it, and what's the process look like from there?
Yeah, so the length of time is going to vary a little bit based on the location and the system design, because for big systems, for example, there's different approvals with BC Hydro for the connection than there is for small systems. Or if you have a 400 amp service to your house or your business, it's a different approval process than if you've got a 100 or 200 amp service. So there's some variability, but in general, if a customer comes to us, first point of contact to in general, like a lot of this depends on the customer and how quick they are to finalize what kind of design they like and figuring out their financing and sizing and all that stuff. But assuming in general that things move ahead pretty steadily, from first point of contact to final system installation, we're probably looking at under 2 months. And that's from that's contact, that's design, like initial design, site visit, doing all the drone stuff, finalizing the design with the customer, doing the application to BC Hydro for the solar connection, getting that approval, pulling the electrical permit, doing the installation, getting all the inspections and everything to make sure everything's good, having BC Hydro finalize it and turn your solar account on their end. And so it's pretty fast when you think of all the steps that are in the process, and sometimes it goes much faster. We've had turnaround times as fast as from initial point of contact to full initialization with BC Hydro, and everything is done as fast as like 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So that's not common. Usually it takes longer than that. And we've had on the complicated end, if we're doing like really big systems where there's special permissions from BC Hydro, et cetera, then it could be 6 months or something. Yeah. But it's... and
it also depends how booked up your crew is. So, because I mean, if you guys have hundreds of jobs in front of you, then you're just going to have to get in line.
Yeah. So it certainly couldn't be that fast right now because we're booking out a ways. But as far as actual time required for the steps, it's somewhere around that 2 month mark, I would say is pretty typical. But
so when the crew shows up, like you got your point of contact, you guys have to do all this work in the back end with permitting and all that. From when the crew shows up, like how long does the actual rack and panel component take?
Yeah. So, for example, our guys are doing a system today. It's a pretty big system, about 40 large, like 600 watt panels, residential system. And they'll probably get all of the racking, roof attachment stuff all done today and start on actually putting up panels tomorrow, and then finalizing electrical and stuff the day after. So for 40 panels, you're looking at somewhere around a 3-day installation. And it all depends on the design too. This is a big square. So this is a simple one. If it's 40 panels broken up onto 8 different roof faces, and the wiring to the electrical panel is going through concrete walls and whatever, like it gets longer. It
gets complicated.
Sometimes it could even be a bit shorter, but that's a bit of an idea. So a simple residential installation, like a typical size for what we're doing this year, we're in and out in 2 days. And then, so it's most of the process is not actually the installation work. It's the permitting and applications, and
in some cases engineering. So
depending on where we are in the province, different parts of the province have different requirements for permits. In Prince George here, it's just an electrical permit. Down on Vancouver Island, we're looking at building permits, which require structural engineering for truss assessments and those kinds of things, which makes the process longer for sure.
Quite a bit more difficult. So speaking of different markets, the number one thing I hear from people about solar panels in Prince George specifically is, oh, I can't. Like, what? Solar doesn't make up sense up here. It's going to be covered in snow for 6 months of the year. So
Yeah.
I don't know what. Just explain what makes sense up here in terms of installing panels, even with our winters.
Yeah. So the great thing about the north is that yes, we do have snow covering panels in winter, and that does cut production down. But what a lot of people don't intuitively recognize is that we also get way longer sun hours in the summer than a lot of places, because our short winters flip into really long summer days. And so we get awesome summer production.
Yeah, because even last night, what are we, end of May right now, and I was going to bed last night at like after 10 o'clock, and it was still a little bit daylight outside.
Yeah.
So in the north here, we get ridiculously long summer days, which I guess would contribute to.
So it's really good for us. So if you graphed the
Interesting.
production of a solar system in northern BC, like January to December, put on a graph, it's like a big camel's hump. And so January, December, you're getting very little. And that's even if there wasn't snow.
Yeah.
Just
Short
the
days.
short days, and the sun rides really low on the horizon. So the angle hitting the panels generally is really not a very productive angle. It's passing through more atmosphere between the sun and the panels. So the quality of the energy hitting the panel is less. There's a whole bunch of things. And so basically, we work in annual numbers. Generally, like if we're putting up, it's different for off-grid systems because you really need winter power. But for a typical grid-connected system, which is most of our systems, we work in annual numbers. And so don't worry about what you get in a specific week, because in 2024, that may have been a really sunny week. And in 2025, that same week is torrential downpour and you're getting almost nothing. Yeah. So week to week, forget about that. Look at annual numbers. Over the course of an entire year, how much power am I getting? And that's actually pretty predictable. Yeah. Year to year, the variability is not significant. And so when you look at an annual number, Prince George, what am I going to get? Then where you're going to get that is generally the vast majority of all that power is coming between spring and fall. Yeah. And very little is in winter. And so the great news to people in the north is that even if you lose 100% of your winter production, you're still getting the vast majority of your annual production. Yeah. So people ask us like, oh, or rather than ask us, they'll just tell us, I can't do solar because I'm not climbing up on my roof in the winter and clearing off solar panels. It's too dangerous, and I'm getting old and whatever. We got all these reasons. And I'm like, great, don't. Yeah. Like, don't get on your roof.
That's not where you're getting your return.
It's just not smart. Like, I tell people, if you climb up on your roof in the winter to clear snow off your solar panels, you're going to work for 2 hours. Clearing snow off, and you're going to get an extra $4 of power production. And so you're paying yourself $2 an hour to get on your roof. Those aren't perfectly accurate numbers. But what's important is that the amount of energy and time that you put into clearing the snow off the panels is not going to pay for itself. Yeah. So we tell people, like, for the risk, for the reward, do not go on your roof and clear snow off your solar panels. Yeah. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, so going off that, comparing like two markets, where you got a market like Prince George where we have snow up here for 5 months of the year, compared to a market like Nanaimo where they get basically no snow, but a lot more cloud cover and rain, or just two totally different climates. How would they compare with the same system?
Yeah, each location's different. And so if you compare Prince George and Nanaimo, annual production numbers are actually very close. They're very similar. You will lose probably a few percent in Prince George over Nanaimo if you're depending on the pitch of your roof. Yeah. Because like here in Prince George, if you put solar panels on a 12-12, like a really steep roof, then a lot of that snow is going to shed off because solar panels
Yeah.
are kind of like a tin roof. It's a slippery glass. The snow is going to slide unless you put snow stops on, which sometimes we do. That's a important design element. But so if you got a 212 though, like a roof that's getting pretty close to flat, then the snow's going to stay a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so to just compare Prince George to Nanaimo, it's not quite, it's not a simple comparison.
Yeah. But if you had two houses, like identical house, same pitch, same system in general,
Yeah.
by what you're saying, it sounds to me like the Prince George system, because of our long summer days, even though we deal with snow,
they're going to
be comparable to the Nanaimo.
Super similar,
Yeah.
which surprises a lot of people because they go, well, down the island, like, yeah, they don't get snow. They should get a lot more production. But actually, they're very close.
Okay, let's shift the topic a little bit to batteries. Because, I mean, and I think we should hybrid the off-grid side of things in here a little bit too, because, like, to me, I definitely, and I think to what most people generally think, when I think solar, I think of like just producing energy, putting it into the grid and all that. But where's the benefit in adding batteries to your system?
So there's a few different benefits, and really depends on the context. So you mentioned off-grid. Off-grid, you have to have batteries.
Yeah.
Because the sun production levels fluctuate. And so sun goes behind a cloud. If you don't have batteries, then all of a sudden your production drops and your supply of power to your building drops. Batteries even out those peaks and valleys and carry you through the night or rainy days when your production is really low or almost zero. So off-grid, you have to have batteries. If you're connected to the grid, essentially BC Hydro's your battery. And so you can add your own batteries on top of that. But if you're adding your own batteries on top of BC Hydro being a battery for you, essentially the purpose is, in most cases, for when BC Hydro goes down.
Yes. Which happens a lot up here.
Yeah.
Especially in certain neighborhoods.
Yeah. Depending on the neighborhood that you're in, for some people it is a lot. Other people, they've had one power outage in the last 4 years. So it really varies location to location how valuable that piece is.
But so depending on the size of the battery, so I guess if you were intending on getting batteries big enough that you could just wave bye-bye to BC Hydro altogether, you would need a bigger battery setup because there's going to be you're more reliant on your batteries. So like, what's the comparison of being off-grid to being on-grid and just having your batteries as a backup? I'm assuming you would need a way bigger battery pack if you're planning on.
Yeah.
I don't know if battery pack is the right way to describe those batteries.
Yeah. Generally we say battery bank.
Oh, okay. That sounds better.
But get what you mean. The cost benefit of having your own batteries depends on a number of things. A lot of it depends on how you're using your power. In most cases, the more power you go through, the less incentive there is to go with a battery option, because batteries are not cheap. And if you want to run a hot tub off batteries, you're going to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really varies case to case. In most cases, because we have quite a few customers come to us and say, hey, I'm on BC Hydro. I don't want to pay BC Hydro anymore. Rather than just cutting my bills down, I'd like to totally go off grid. Yeah. And we have yet to have a customer actually make that move.
When they see
once we run through all the numbers, because with batteries, let's say, so the way BC Hydro measures power is kilowatt hours. That's just the unit of measurement that they use to measure power. Yeah. So let's say a home uses on average 30 kilowatt hours of power per day. Yep. So that's a pretty common household consumption, 30 kilowatt hours of power per day. So if you want to take a home with that kind of consumption and go off grid, then when you're thinking about battery bank sizing, you're probably going to at least double that, because most people are not comfortable with just having 1 day's worth of battery storage.
Yeah.
So you're looking then at 60 kilowatt hours of battery storage. But then add another piece to that. Your average is 30. But what about the minus 40 day in winter when there's no sun and you're chewing through a lot of extra power because it's so cold outside and you've got heaters running or whatever. Now your demand on that day is 60 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
So now are you going to double that? And so there's all these pieces to going off grid that really need to be processed carefully. And so that's a big value that we bring to our customers, is understanding all of that back end stuff and what are the questions you need to ask and what are the different ways that you can think about it so that you know if you're building a system that you're sizing it appropriately. Because man, the last thing you want is to put $40,000 into a solar system and then go, it doesn't produce enough power.
Yeah, no kidding.
So fortunately we haven't had that.
Yeah.
Because we go through these steps very carefully.
What does that look like if someone's on an off-grid system and the batteries start getting low? Do appliances start just not turning on, or?
So no, in general, if you're not in an off-grid system, your system will run fully normally until it hits its cutoff, and then it fully shuts off. So it's not like just your fridge will stop working or just your dishwasher will stop
working.
working.
The lights just start dimming.
Yeah, no, it'll run, and then fully shut off.
So it's kind of like the power tool drills.
Yeah,
they're running, and all of a sudden they're just dead.
Same thing. So, like in my context, because I'm fully off grid, I have and we always install our off grid systems with some kind of backup generator component. So
that makes sense.
In December, if we get blizzard for a week and we're not getting enough sun to keep the batteries topped up, then I fire up the generator, I run it for 4 hours, and that refills my batteries, and then I'm good for a week.
From just 4 hours? That must be a big generator, though.
So it's a good sized generator, and again, all of these things you size them based on, like, we go through a process. But because I've got lithium batteries, they can charge really quickly, so I don't have to run my generator very long. So I run it, fill stuff up, and then the combination of that power in the batteries plus the additional even little bits of solar that I get each day through December, because December is a low production month, then that carries me through till either the next good sunny day or till the next time I need to run the generator a week later or something like that. So there's all kinds of different ways of going. Like, I could double the number of solar panels that I have, and then I could probably almost get through the whole winter without running the generator once. And I may do that down the road. But right now I've decided just number of dollars I see in my bank account, it's a better move for me to run the generator occasionally through the winter. But now I'm not running the generator like ever now. I've got more power than I know what to do with.
Man, that's crazy.
During the summer. So it's awesome. I'm like, I should get some Bitcoin miners or something.
Use up that excess of power.
Yeah.
So right now in the summer, your solar power is keeping your batteries right full. They're not even depleting at all.
Generally, so stop producing power. Like right now, we're end of May. My solar production drops off somewhere around 8:39 p.m. at my place. And so then for the rest of the night from 8:30 on, I'm running off batteries. So we run our dishwasher in the evening, we run our washing machine in the evening, we've got some grow lights for plants, we've got whatever else, the well pump and stuff runs through the night. So in the morning we wake up and the batteries have drained down to whatever percent. But generally these days my batteries are full again by 11 a.m. And so then the rest of the day, all of the power that I'm producing is just excess. Actually, mostly my solar panels just go into kind of a standby mode. They just don't do anything because I don't need the power.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it's awesome. I'm really liking the system. And so this is just part of the seasonality of living in the north, is that we have short winters and we got long summer days. Not short winters, short winter days. We have long winters.
Long winters.
But for most of the year, like if you've got a well-designed system, you got more power than you need most of the year.
So, oh man, that's an interesting perspective. With you living off grid and you've got your solar and your battery power, are you guys do you find yourselves being way more conservative of energy at certain times of the year? Or is it just is it different than being on BC Hydro?
Definitely different. I think we're much more conscious of our energy usage. In summer, we're really relaxed. Like right now, I don't hardly think about it. I check my batteries once every few days, just because I like seeing the numbers. And
it's on an app. Can you just look at it's just all on your phone?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so I turn on and look at the numbers, but we don't need to think about what we're running or not running. We want to use the air fryer. We just plug it in and use it. I don't look at what my batteries are. In December, it's different. Then I'm looking, okay, we haven't had a sunny day in a few days. I know the batteries are getting low, so we'll probably hang our clothes to dry rather than running our electric dryer.
Oh, okay.
And we'll probably use the air fryer less. We'll make coffee with our kettle on the propane stove rather than using the electric coffee maker or whatever. But so there's living off grid. There are lifestyle adjustments.
Yeah, definitely.
And so things like our electric stove, our hot water tank, those are propane because those are big energy users. We'd be totally fine with an electric stove and an electric hot water tank in the summer, but not in December. And so you make those adjustments and we're really comfortable. It's awesome.
That sounds so slight adjustment, but it's pretty neat that you're off the system. Yeah. There's a lot of benefits to that. So let's run through. You and I haven't talked about this before, but it's just a neat idea to walk through quickly. Mm-hmm. I own a place on Clucas Lake, south facing. One of the biggest things I hate about my place out there is every weekend we go out there, the clock on my oven light is blinking because the power
has been out.
Always goes out. And it's usually, sometimes it's just a blip or whatever.
Yeah.
But the scary part about that is it's a year-round place, and the furnace is electric.
Right.
So this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is like one day when I want to do my roof first. And before I do my roof, I got some other add-ons and stuff I want to get done. But one day, I'm thinking forward to when I want solar panels. Yeah. Given the circumstance of what that is, again, by far in that circumstance, my energy bills from BC Hydro in the summer are almost nothing. Mm-hmm. That's not true. I do run portable air conditioner units in there. But having an electric furnace, my winter bills are outrageously high. Yeah. So is there like a system that would make sense with a small battery bank with that? Like, how long do the battery banks even hold the power for? Is it even very long? Or is there a way I could get better return on my panels by storing some of the energy in the good days when my energy costs are so high in the winter?
So I got a few thoughts around that. One is the fact that you're connected to BC Hydro is a big advantage because you can produce a bunch of power through the summer and essentially apply that production to your winter bills. BC Hydro's in the process of changing their system right now. They're on a credit system. They call it net metering. So whenever you're producing more power than you're using, that extra power flows out to the grid. Okay. And it gets counted as it goes through your meter. And BC Hydro basically stacks up credits for you to say, Josh exported 20 kilowatt hours of power this week. And so then on your account, you've got a credit for 20 kilowatt hours.
Oh.
So if you produce an extra 1,000 kilowatt hours through the summer that you didn't use, then end of September, you've got 1,000 credits, kilowatt hour credits on your account. And then in October, if you produce a little bit less than what you used, that difference is covered from that stack of credits. And then November, December, until the credits are gone. So if you size a system appropriately, you can produce enough extra through the summer so that all your winter bills are zero, even though you may not be producing almost any power in December or January.
Really? I thought the return from BC Hydro was not good. Or is that if you're actually trying to sell it for cash back to BC Hydro?
So that's a really common question too. So at this point, you can't really sell your power to BC Hydro. If you export power from your house, you can only get credits.
Oh.
At the end of they do a 1 year cycle, March to March. And so if you do an entire cycle, a full year, and you get back to March after all your dark winter months, and you still have credits on your account, then they'll give you a payment for that remainder that's left.
So they go back to zero at that point.
And then everything resets to zero. But you're not going to make any money. It's no money maker to try and accumulate extra credits and get a payout.
So the real value in solar is building a system to match your usage year round, not excess so that you're pouring power back into the grid because your return's just going to be minimal.
Yeah. So as close as possible sizing to your usage. So they've made an application to the BC Utilities Commission to switch to a new system rather than net metering. They're going to call it net billing. And the difference is that if this new system goes ahead, that whenever power leaves your property, rather than you getting credits for it, they will actually buy it. And so we don't know exactly what that rate will be, how much they'll purchase power for, but it'll actually be a purchase. And so if you send 10 kilowatt hours of power out to the grid in a day, then let's just say they choose 10 cents as the purchase price, then you would get $1 for that power.
Okay.
And that $1 would go in your BC Hydro account and sit there. So you could still apply that to December or whenever you need to cover your bills, but it's not credits. It's actually $1 value.
Oh, I see.
So the interesting thing about that is that the payback then for a solar system is really going to start to vary more customer to customer, because another program that BC Hydro has just recently introduced is called time of use. Like, it's a time of use billing system where power's cheaper in the middle of the night, more expensive at dinner time.
Yeah.
And so you've got these different rates throughout the day. So your payback on a solar system actually is going to depend a lot on what your lifestyle is. Because, for example, if you're exporting power, like say you put a big solar system on your house and all day you're gone at work, you're exporting power at 10 cents a kilowatt hour to the grid. So you're getting 10 cents for all these kilowatt hours that you're exporting. Then if you come home at 5 o'clock and you flip everything on and you're using a ton of power for that next 3-hour period or whatever, then you're going to be buying power back from BC Hydro at maybe 15 cents. And so you're selling at 10 and you're buying at 15, you're actually losing some extra money. But if you can shift a bunch of that usage into the night, like say you program your dishwasher to run at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You program your washing machine to run at 1 a.m. You program your EV to charge between midnight and 5.
Even air conditioning, you can program your thermostat to turn it on.
Your heating system to run more at night. All of those kinds of things. Now you're exporting at 10 cents and you're buying at 5.
Oh. So you just got to be more strategic in how you use your power.
So you can
when you use your power.
Yeah, you can really ramp up your payback if you're willing to make some lifestyle adjustments. So when people ask us, well, what's my payback going to be? That's up to you in a lot of ways. And so it's gotten a lot more complicated. Like 2 years ago, even to do a return on investment calculation for a solar system was not a very complicated process. We could look at your historical usage, project that forward, tell you what buying the solar system is going to cost, and spit out some numbers. But now it depends on what kind of payment plan are you on with BC Hydro. Are you doing this time of use billing, or are you on just a standard tier 1, tier 2 rate, which most people are, or they've introduced now a third option, which is just a flat rate.
Oh, so these are options that people. So BC Hydro's not forcing one way or another. You
not at this point.
As of now, you can choose.
Yeah, so you can actually go on your BC Hydro account online, and they've got these 3 different options, and you can actually click on them and say, if I switch to this rate based on my historical usage, how would that affect my bills? Would I save money, or would it cost me more? And so you can actually play with it before making a switch and say, hey, would this be a good option for me? And if so, then you can actually look at changing it up.
Do people even know this is an option?
I don't think so.
Because I sure didn't know about this.
No,
I'm going to go home right now and
most people have
my
no
BC
idea.
Hydro account.
Or even changes in rates, like April 1st, BC Hydro rates went up. Most people have no idea. And probably still have no idea, depending on what their billing cycle is. Until they get their next bill, they may have no idea that price has changed. And so you really got to pay attention, and you got to be asking questions. Like if you want to optimize your power bills, you got to be proactive. People are not going to figure that out for you. Yeah.
Well, going back to my place, because now I'm super intrigued about a lot of this stuff for me personally, and touching on the battery bank side of things. With me and my system constantly powering out, is it worth, like, what would a battery system look like for me? And what would you, if it was your place, what would you recommend you would put in given that circumstance?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about a battery system is that there's no lag between the activation of the system. And so if the power blips, even for 10 seconds, it drops, your clocks all stay on.
Yeah. So it acts as like a capacitor. It's just
essentially it's like a giant UPS for your house. And so that's really nice. So especially for those little drops, batteries make a lot of sense. You can get, like, we do a lot of backup generators, like whole home, fully automated systems, really nice Cummins. But the downside of something like that is that there's some lag time between, like, if the power goes out, it takes 30 seconds or whatever for the generator to fire up, to get warmed up, and to switch over. And so, yeah, you're still going to, if the power's out for 10 hours, you're going to have power for those 10 hours, but you're still going to have that initial power drop when the grid goes down. And so all your clocks are going to shut off, and you're still going to have the lights go off for that first 30 seconds or whatever it is. Whereas a battery system, it's instantaneous. There's no lag. The nice thing about a generator is that it can pump out a ton of power long term.
Yeah.
Like you put in a big, for a lot of whole home backup systems, would do something like a 20 or 25 kilowatt generator. And that can power pretty much everything in your house for basically as long as you've got fuel. And so gives you that like long-term confidence. Sun, no sun, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Batteries, then you've got to size your battery bank for the things that you want to back up for the length of time that you want. So people often ask us, what does a battery bank cost for a house?
Yeah.
And my answer is, well, what do you want to back up? Because if it's just fridge, freezer, lights, and garage door, okay, I can give you a price pretty quick. If you want to back up the whole house, including your hot tub, and you want to back up for 48 or 72 hours, okay, we're talking like massive difference between those two scenarios.
Yeah.
So for a simple backup system, I would say start with the number $15,000. Like, let's say you were doing solar, and now you want to add a simple battery system to that solar installation. I would say start with $15,000 for the battery addition.
Okay.
So that's before rebates.
I was just going to say, with rebates, would a $15,000 system qualify for that $5,000 rebate that I currently have?
Yeah,
it would. Okay.
So you would get the full $5,000 rebate from BC Hydro, and so essentially, actually, that's the battery component. So the rebate basically makes your batteries free, but then there's additional specialized electronics that go with managing that battery bank, and then additional labor and installation and everything. So it's 15, but after rebates, you're 10 out of pocket.
Yeah.
So to add batteries to, say, your cabin, you'd be looking at about 10.
It's actually cheaper than I thought it would be. Well, the rebate definitely helps.
So that's great for those shorter term, like if there's little drops in power throughout the day. But if you want to run an electric furnace for 24 hours, that battery bank is not even.
It's going to
be close to that.
But if you have a battery bank paired, so if I invested in the battery bank, obviously having a backup generator would make sense, given that, if it's minus 30 and the power goes out for a few days out there, the house is going to entirely freeze and all my pipes are going to freeze. Mm-hmm. So having a generator totally makes sense. But if I added the battery bank, would it reduce the size of the generator? Is there a benefit there at all? Or
yeah, all of those things get factored in. The generator size really is going to depend on the load of the building.
Yeah.
So whenever we're putting a generator into any kind of a system, we'll do a calculation on the building. What's the peak demand?
Yeah.
And then factor that into the whole cost analysis and everything. And you can play with different size generators, but there are some electrical code requirements for how large, how small can a generator be. And so we work with that. And and it really depends on the motivation. If it's like to actually run stuff, generally in a lot of cases, a generator is going to be the preferred way to go.
Yeah.
I won't say better, but more people will choose to go with the generator option if it's actually like running a furnace or running a hot tub or running the whole home.
Yeah.
But if it's more that UPS kind of motivation, that kind of need, then batteries are going to be a preferable option. One, because they don't take up much space. They're totally silent. A lot of people don't love the idea of having a generator running outside their window,
big diesel generator kicking up in the middle of the night. The neighbors might not like that.
No, and also then you got into your maintenance. You got to do oil changes. You got to inspect the generator, and you got to do those kinds of things. Whereas with the battery system, it's maintenance free. You drop it and done. So
interesting.
That's really nice.
Well, I think that leads into something else I wanted to discuss with solar panels. What does the long-term maintenance look like on those? Do they require ever to be cleaned, or does Mother Nature kind of take them over after time? Because, like, what's the longevity of a panel?
So panels will last really long. Like I tell people 40, 50 years, because
that's a long time.
There's no moving parts. And actually the durability is going up with time. Like, so this year, the solar panels that we're using come with what's called a linear performance warranty. And the panels we're using right now have a 30-year linear performance warranty, which basically means at the end of 30 years, they should still be at least 85% efficient. Oh, wow. Which is incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I love being able to give those numbers to people, because nobody expects that.
Yeah.
Name another large purchase that you're going to make in the next couple of years that could have a promise like that.
3 decades later, still operating at 85% efficiency. That's solid.
I wish I could say that about my washing machine.
It might even be higher, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Like,
I'd be happy if my washing machine makes it 5 years before it's completely dead.
Yeah, like all of our major appliances typically, like washing machine, dishwasher, fridge, freezer, all those kinds of things. Like there's no expectation for that kind of lifespan, which is sad. But I love being able to give those numbers to people. So that's the longevity, like their long term. As far as maintenance goes, basically cleaning. But in most cases, nature does that. Just rain on the panels will take most of the dust, pollen, those kinds of things off. Snow actually is your friend when it comes to cleaning your panels, because when the snow settles on the panels, not only does it stick to the panels, it also sticks to all the dirt that's on the panels that's accumulated throughout the year. And when that melts and slides, it's like a squeegee.
Cleans your panel for you.
A ton of that stuff off.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it varies a little bit location to location, depending on if your solar panels are right under a bunch of birch trees or something that might drop some sticky stuff on them. Yeah. There's going to be some cleaning required. But in most cases, people are intentionally putting solar panels in the most open spaces possible, where you're getting as little tree debris or whatever onto them. And so spray them off with a hose just from the ground, like once, twice a year. Like if you notice there's a lot of pollen in the air right now, go ahead, spray them off.
How much is a layer of pollen going to really affect the panel? Is it significant?
It would really depend on the thickness. Like if they're right up against a bunch of trees, like a big forest that's putting out a lot of pollen, who knows? But it will affect the production if it's all settling on the panels and being left alone. But in general, rain or just a simple spray from the hose is enough to knock that stuff off. Okay. So really simple. Occasionally people will go, like especially if they get some sticky stuff on there or a bunch of bird poop or whatever, people go clean them by hand. And so we just tell people, like, go ahead and do that, but just simple. Think about it like you're cleaning the window of your house. Like you're not going to use steel wool. Just a mild soapy solution. Use a squeegee. Nothing abrasive, and it's pretty simple, but very little required. Most of our customers are not doing really anything to clean their panels, and they're doing great.
Years of in between cleaning, sort of thing. They just let Mother Nature clean them for them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting change in the industry here in the last few years, and it really seems like the value of solar's skyrocketing right now. Mm-hmm. What are some things you see coming up? Like, where's the future of solar heading here in the next few years?
Yeah, I think about that a fair bit because I have to. But
it's kind of your job.
It's definitely my job. But in some ways it's really predictable, and in other ways it's really hard to say. Definitely, you look at all the estimates, conservative, optimistic in the solar industry. All of the estimates are for serious growth in solar power adoption. I think we're going to see a massive uptick, especially here in Canada.
With all the electric vehicles, is that
electric vehicles, but also I think with the increase in efficiency in solar panels and other electronics and those kinds of things, the viability has pushed into the north. Go back 10 years, because solar panels were less efficient and way more expensive. The payback, especially in the north, just wasn't there for people to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to make that leap. Because Arizona does get a lot more sun than we do. But rather than saying, well, because Arizona gets more sun than we do, it's not worth it in BC, that's not true. And instead of that kind of thing, you got to, again, look at, okay, what do we get and what does it cost? And mm-hmm. because prices have come down so much and efficiency for production has gone up, the payback, the viability in the north has really leapt forward in the last decade. And
that trend probably looks like it's going to continue to do so.
It's going to continue. The efficiencies are expected to continue to increase, and prices this year are the best they've ever been. So things are really good right now. And because 10 years ago, solar wasn't really viable in a lot of residential commercial applications here in the north, a lot of Canadian cities don't have much for solar power. And so there's huge potential now that, okay, it is viable. Prices have come down. Production has gone up. All of those things. Now I think we're going to see a bit of an explosion of installations across, especially more the northern parts of Canada. That's really where it's starting to take off. And so I see a lot of growth in what percentage, like of, if you want to call it market share, of our energy comes from solar. I think like a lot of people are estimating that by 2050, Canada will be getting somewhere between 20 and 30% of its power from solar. Whereas right now I think we're under somewhere around 2%, something like that. So that's a big that's a massive change.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes.
Well, what about from the consumer's point of view? So when you guys are doing your estimates and are you projecting their ROI as much as you can based on the current prices, or do you also factor in the potential increase in rates? Because I mean, you don't see rates go down very often in anything.
No, so we do when we're working those numbers for somebody, we do factor in an estimate in BC Hydro rate increases. And so that's a really, really difficult one to predict. The way that we do it, and I can't say what other solar companies are doing, but we go back to 2008 and we look at what the average rate increase has been each year from 2008 to present day. And then basically we project that same average forward and say, okay, if that continues at that same kind of curve, where are we going to be in 2030, 2040?
That to me, that almost seems conservative, because the demand for electricity seems to be going up more and more.
Yeah, and
with all the electric vehicles and all those components. But I mean, we also do have other energy sources that are being built across the province. So I don't know if that's a factor.
Yeah, and so it's really hard to say. Like I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I think it's going to get a lot more expensive than that," but I don't want to be on that far end of the spectrum saying, oh yeah, it's going to be really expensive. You're going to save so much money. I'd rather be more conservative and have people pleasantly surprised if prices do go up extra. But it's really an unknown. What's the future of energy in the world? What technologies, what advancements are going to happen in the next 10 years that we haven't even heard of today? I don't know. I'm watching. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a really interesting take, especially with all the trade wars and everything going on. Who knows what our energy costs and stuff are going to be in the next few years.
Yeah.
I don't see them going down.